Okay, let's get going. Thank you all for coming out for the Star Trek panel today. My name is Bill Lundy. I'll be your moderator today. And I don't think any of the people up here need introductions, but I will give them quick ones anyway. To my immediate right, lovely and charming Garret Wang from Star Trek Voyager. Then we have Celeste Yarnall, who is in the famous episode The Apple of the original Star Trek series.
Thank you, I get a woo too. Thank you, I like that.
Then Denise Crosby from Star Trek Next Generation. And last but certainly not least, Tim Russ from Star Trek Voyager. Garret, what about you? How did you?
Yes. I did audition for Deanna.
Lost out.
When they said Nordic, that was me all the way. No, I had 5 auditions for Voyager, and it's funny because when you go into the casting director's office, you see all the other actors that have been cast on the wall. And I went in for my first audition, and there was already Roxanne Dawson. I think Tim Russ was already on there too, one of the first people cast. And then I went back for my second audition, third, fourth, and more pictures were popped up there, fifth, and I just kept thinking, why can't I get on that board? Why am I? So those guys got cast quite early. Ensign Kim was one of the last roles to be cast, actually. They actually had it down between myself and a kid from New York City on the 5th audition. And after that audition, I asked the casting director, I said, so how'd it go? She said, well, we're sending the kid from New York back to New York. I said, so I got the role? I said, no, you're still in the running, but they want to now take 3 weeks to find older Ensign Kims. I said, well, what do you mean? Well, now they're looking for 30-something Ensign Kims. And they're going to whittle that down to one dude, and it'll be between you and the 30-something-year-old actor. And so I had my 6th audition, and then after that, I got it. But it was a pain, to get that. I know.
Tim, was your deal the same? Or?
I initially, by the time I was reading for the shows, DS9 and Next Gen had already been on, so what happened was I read for Next Gen initially for Geordie LaForge's role. It was he and I, basically, when it came down to the two of us, and they ended up using LeVar Burton for that role, which was a very good choice. And subsequently, I read several times over the next 2 or 3 years. I came back to read for guest star roles for the show, and finally got cast in one episode that was a guest star role, Next Gen, then came back and did a DS9 episode as a guest, then worked on Generations, the feature. And that's when Rick Berman said, we're working on a new series, Voyager, in the summer. We'd like to have you come in and read for one of the roles. So, that point in time came, and my original part was initially 65 years old. That character was 65, so I would not have been able to read. And then they changed. They dropped the age down to 30 plus, and then they called me in. And I just went in to read for that by myself. I don't remember seeing anybody else there. And that I just read a couple of times, and that was it. But it was a 7-year process, really, because I read for the Next Gen. So it was a 7-year process for me to get there. I mean, it was a long time. I went in 5 or 6 times to read just for guest roles on Next Gen. It took a long time, so it was a long process.
Can I just interject that Tim Russ is really a Vulcan in real life? Because as you can see, there's no difference between how he is on Voyager and now. When I remember calling his answer machine, beep, hello, you have reached Tim Russ. I am a Vulcan, and please leave your message. That's you, dude. You are Vulcan.
Not at all.
Yep. Not at all. One last thing, Tim. First time I met you at the pilot episode, I walked up to you and I said, hey, your character's name is Tuvok. If you change one letter, it's Tupac, right? And then he looks at me. He didn't laugh. I was trying to be funny, right? He goes, let me tell you something. Rap music is the reason for the fall of modern Western civilization. I'm like, what? What? Are you really saying this? You are Vulcan. He's Vulcan.
I had to mess with him right from the beginning. And it didn't stop there either.
And Celeste, can you talk about how you got cast on the Apple episode?
I was changing their diapers at Paramount. No. Well, actually, I have a slightly different story. I was called in and asked if I wanted to do the role of Yeoman Martha Landon. I was invited. It wasn't an audition. I mean, how exciting is that? So they were actually looking for a role for me on Star Trek, and I came in, I met Gene Roddenberry and Joe D'Augusta, and they talked to me about the role, and we did a little reading of the part. And they said, but, I think we ought to save Celeste for something bigger, something more exotic, something, she could be with wigs and makeup and, are you sure you want to do it? And I'm thinking, mortgage payment? Do I want to do it? Mortgage payment? Of course I want to do it. Yes. Do you want to kiss Chekhov or do you want to kiss the captain? I'll kiss anybody so long as I can pay the rent, So we're talking 1967. These were very sophisticated days. They had, video playback, auditions, and we just got invited to come and do the show,
Very cool.
It's funny because I tried to make suggestions to the writers, but I think
You
it
were a
fell
child.
on. I was a child, thank you. It fell upon deaf ears for me. You did mention Bob Picardo, but Bob Picardo called over and over
Oh,
and
yeah,
over.
yeah.
He would say,
Hello, Bob Picardo here. I was just wondering if we could have the doctor sing Italian opera.
and they're like, Bob, no, actually, we don't like that idea.
Hello, it's Tuesday. It's Bob. Would you have me sing Italian opera?
He would call and call and call until after 3 months they're like, fine,
All right.
you will sing your dang Italian opera. And so it's perseverance, really, because I suggested all kinds of things. I said, Ensign Kim should play saxophone. They're like, no. Ensign Kim should do Krav Maga, which is a Israeli martial art. They go, no. Ensign Kim should be in a shipwide talent show where he impersonates everybody on the cast. And they go, no. So it's really, but maybe because of the kid thing, maybe because I was so young.
You were young.
They thought I was, I didn't have valid input or something. So, but yeah, the more you stick to your guns, which is what Bob Picardo did. He kept
Yeah.
calling and calling, and Brent, I'm sure, did the same thing.
Well, I got to throw a guy over my shoulder.
Were you able to have much
No,
input?
I'm just thinking about, and you just reminded me of a story. A guy came up to me recently, and I had a picture of Sela, which it was Tasha's daughter, and the half Romulan, and a picture of Tasha Yar. And he said, I'm gonna take the Sela picture because she was really tough, and I liked her, and because I never could really get behind a female security officer. And I said, really? That's really interesting. Why is that? Well, come on. I mean, a guy, 200-pound guy comes up to you and, you're not going to be able to handle that. And I said, really? I said, she had a phaser, right? And he said, oh, well, yeah, of course, you got a phaser, you're going to be able to take him out. And I said, and she was like schooled in Aikido, and pretty much a master Aikido could take any guy down, Mm-hmm. And he goes, oh, yeah. And this was like 2 weeks ago,
God,
and I'm thinking, wow, it's really...
Were you in the South?
No, I was not in the South. And I could have been, but might as well have been. But, and no offense to anybody Southern here. But it just makes me think that, I struggled with the whole writing of my character of Tasha Yar. I mean, I think that they had a great idea that they didn't really know what to do with it. Yeah, I mean, my experience for the most part was just, how tight can they make my uniform look? And how great my tits looked, I mean, that was basically, those words were actually said to me. So I found it, not a great place to be for me in that environment. But that's Hollywood. I'm certainly not the only actress who's had this with great tits. With that's. Thank you, Marina. Thank you, honey. I'll get you back for that one. When the right opportunity happens.
We had a little different. We had a little
You know, we
different.
share. We like to give to each other as actresses.
We had a little different experience on classic Star Trek because here we have Gene Roddenberry and the team of writers writing these, very progressive, liberated women 1960s roles. I was one of the first yeoman or guest stars that packed the phaser and threw the guys around and was a full-fledged member of the Apple landing party, right? But we had the NBC censors coming to the set all the time. And I had this beautiful scene where I was in the hut with the crew, with Kirk and Chekhov and Leonard, and there we all are. And I'm running my lines and stuff, and the censors come over and they're going, what the? So, Celeste, we're going to have to do a little cutting here. And I went, why? Well, I thought I was not doing my line so well. Well, we got the censors on the set, and to the censors, it looks like you're going to spend the night in the hut with 4 men. We got to take you to the ladies' hut. And I said, the ladies' hut? They said, yeah, that's on the other side of the soundstage. I said, but I'm not going to be able to do my lines in the ladies' hut because the guys are over here, right? So I lost several pages of the Apple thanks to the NBC censors. So we had this progressive script and these, maniacs in those days that couldn't show a belly button, as you recall.
Yeah.
There was Barbara Eden that got belly buttons on TV. So, but one of the cute stories is that the uniform that I actually was fitted for was Grace Lee Whitney's, and she doesn't know this story. And the costumer specifically said, well, won't she be back? And the other costumer, fitter, said, no, she's not coming back. I said, well, in that case, can you shorten it? So we took about 3 inches off of Grace Lee's uniform, and that's the uniform that just sold for $8,000 on eBay. And it's the Yeoman uniform that's touring the country. It used to be Grace's now. It ended up being mine, but it's shorter now.
Cool.
Tim, what about you? How did Tuvok change over the course of the series?
I
never changed.
I have to agree with Marina. I didn't really powwow with the writers that much at the beginning of the show, and to me, I thought, well, the writers typically, and I explain to fans all the time, it's about the story, and the writers will come up with the story which will develop the character, because they're going to put you in different circumstances, and they're going to, they gave me a family, they made my character married, et cetera, et cetera. I said, well, let them do it. And there were times when I ended up getting the script and going, what the, and then I'm on the phone retroactively, trying to fix all that, hold on, he's Vulcan, he's not going to, doesn't make any sense. And so after it's already done, you're trying to go ahead and make the fixes and changes. Yeah. So I think after that, there was a couple of episodes in which I actually worked with the writers while it was being written. Once we had the concept and the pitch, we actually collaborated on a couple of stories had to do with Ponfar and things like that. So she's right. It's probably a good idea to get in there at the beginning and get some kind of, so you don't get these surprises down the line, because they can be surprises. And our show, I guess we did progress a little bit because we had a female captain, so we were moving along. Although, we still got a little TNA. 7 of 9, they put her on there, and that was quite a change, let me tell you.
There was an episode.
Somebody's got to do it.
Somebody's got to do it.
Tim, you remember that episode, the original? There's an episode where the Voyager goes through all this crazy hell and we're being attacked, and it was a 2-parter. I don't remember the name of the episode, but it might have been Year of Hell, maybe not. But originally, Tuvok, supposedly, he loses a leg from a bomb, and then he's blind. Do you remember that?
I was blind.
Yeah, but then you were supposed to have only one leg too. So then I was joking around. I was like, hey, who am I? And I was hopping on one leg, like running into walls and stuff, and going. I love messing with him. This is my favorite thing to do every day.
I did a couple of guest episodes of theirs, and one of the first time I was on there, yes, it was very different. There was a different sort of feel about the whole place.
It was very serious.
Much later on, just as we got to the end of, we overlapped them by about 3 years. So at the very end of the last time, I think I did one more of the guest episodes, and that day was completely different because Avery, tends to be somewhat imposing and intimidating, just on his own, all of them were. I was the guest star. So all of them were just cracking up the entire time. They were I mean, I didn't even know how we got anything shot.
They were high.
Laughing. They had to be. And I was shocked. I was like, wow, this is actually very cool.
Yeah.
Avery was cracking up. Everybody was laughing. It was a day, they had the giggles and they couldn't stop.
Yeah, good.
I don't know how we
Glad
got
to hear
anything
it.
done.
Well,
Yeah.
that's very reminiscent of classic, because Shatner, my landing crew had Shatner, DeForest Kelley, Chekhov, and Leonard, and these guys were a comedy act. I mean, it was nonstop, and you come in as a guest star, and you think, who's the green dude with the ears that never smiles? And they're doing rhyming. No matter what you say, they're turning it into a rhyme. And I'm going,
Oh, so they started rap. Oh, I didn't know that. That's cool. Who knew? I knew Shatner made records, but I didn't know he started rap.
Started rap.
as Kirk. It's
Another thing he can take credit for now.
Cool. Guy is
But
so
that was
talented.
a fun set.
Not with the other four, I hear, but never mind.
I didn't.
But because you guys are so rowdy, I
Yeah.
think because if you take each franchise, if you take Next Generation as the older sibling and Deep Space and Voyager being like the youngest kid,
yeah.
by that time Berman didn't care. He was sort of like, the youngest kid gets away with everything, and we joked around all the time, and we never got disciplined. So thank you for taking all the brunt.
You took the heat.
I used to go to the set of Cheers and steal food. They treated us.
You had food?
I know. No, well, we had tomatoes and cremora. No, we had tomato slices and cremora. That's if that guy didn't lock it up. The craft service guy used to lock up the cereal. Peter locked up cereal. He goes,
got
Denise,
no food. We
Denise,
got
you
no
want some
food."
special cereal? I get some cereal for you for the breakfast. And I went, great, Peter. What can you get some like granola, some good cereal? And so I go to it's 6 a.m. Go to the set, and Peter, where's the granola? He goes, I have it locked up. I have it hidden, so no one else will get it.
They must have locked it up where they locked up Bill's toupee.
The day he showed me the pictures
He
of the
bought a
boat,
boat.
I went, got it.
We were, when I did Voyager.
That's where the
there's
money
Charlie.
went.
We
This
had a
sounds
layout.
like one of those stories when you say, when I went to school, I went through 8 miles of snow in my bare feet.
That's right.
This is.
That's right, honey.
I walked up
You don't even know what it was like with
You
craft
don't
service.
know. You don't know.
Who do we have? We had, who was our craft service guy, Garret?
Johnny Chacho.
Johnny, Chacho.
Johnny,
He always
yeah.
looked like he just crawled out from under a car in a gas station, like fixing it.
Yeah.
The dude
No,
looked
Johnny
like
was great.
Johnny
was
was
great.
he
I'm
was
talking
a
about
fabulous.
Peter the Greek.
He was fabulous. He was a
Peter
fabulous
the
guy. He
Great.
was very cool.
He was an inside man.
Yeah.
I used to think he was just, telling the suits all kinds of, they had to keep him there.
They had.
He
You
was
know what
spying
they do?
He was a
on us.
spy, huh?
Yeah,
They
They
he
do
was a
have
mole.
spies. They do.
They do.
Well,
They
was a mole.
do. Yes.
We
they,
had
they
the
do have
prop
someone
guy.
on-
We had the phaser counter and the tricorder counter, and I always thought, it'd be so cool. I want to take this home. Where's Celeste? Where's the phaser?
No, yeah.
We're missing one phaser.
They were like that back then too. Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah.
they were.
Tim and I walk off the set. They're like, right before we get off the set, someone's standing there, tricorder, phaser, and they rip the comm badge off of us like that. Take that too.
They checked your car. They checked the car.
Oh, they checked our car.
The
They're
car
like,
when we left
open
the
your
lot,
trunk
they
up.
checked
Open
your car.
trunk. Yeah.
And at Paramount. I mean, you're there every day. Oh yeah,
Oh,
they were
yeah.
checking cars.
Somebody on our set stole Leonard Nimoy's bicycle. And he was insane to find this bicycle. And this went on for days, and he had to walk on the lot, and he didn't have his bicycle. And Shatner is cracking up. Everybody's cracking up. Nobody can find the freaking bicycle. All of a sudden, they go, look up, Leonard. The bicycle was in the catwalk. It had been hung the entire time in the catwalk. And he was mad. He was really angry.
Did they ever find
know
out
who did
find
that?
out who
Off
did
the
it?
set without the bicycle.
That was Shatner that did that.
I'm sure
It was.
Probably.
It was. I heard this story already. It was
It had
Shatner.
to be Shatner.
Tim, you've tried to keep the Star Trek thing alive with your new project of Gods and Men. Can you talk a little bit about how that came about and what's happening with it?
Oh, that was It was the idea, Doug Conway, I worked with him before a few years ago. He wanted to do this project, and he called me about working on it with him, and he put together the script with Ethan Hawke, Jack Trevino. They used to write episodes for Next Gen TNG. And so they put together the script, and we kind of, Doug was instrumental in sort of, he had the Rolodex of all the names. He's worked with Trek merchandising for years, so he had the Rolodex of all the names of some of the actors he wanted to work with on this thing, and he got in contact with many of them, and we sort of just put the story together between the three of us, and those guys wrote the script, and we shot it, it has been now 5 years ago, up in upstate New York, and some here in the States, and it was privately funded by a guy who was he had a little cameo in the piece. He was actually very cool, and he really wanted to do this project. So it was a pretty interesting story, and it actually came off very, very nicely. We had CGI people help us out for 2 years after it was done to get all of the CG done, and they did it voluntarily on their own time, and it came out very nice. We were very happy to have the project finished, and I don't think they're going to do another one, but I was surprised. I didn't think it was going to turn out the way it did. I honestly didn't. We had very little budget to work with, but it managed to happen. We pulled it together. We used the sets of James Cawley, who is in upstate New York. He has a little soundstage set up there, and he's completely constructed the entire, the original Next Gen, the original series, sets. Yeah. The entire bridge, 360 degrees. All the little lights are in the exact same place they would normally be. Everything's down to the scale. He also has the carpet that's actually from the show is in there. He has the transporter things that you stand on in the original series. He has those actual discs that you stand on. So we built the transporter room. He built all this stuff himself with money he made from being an Elvis impersonator.
That's true.
Yep.
That's absolutely.
In Legends, the Legends show that tours, he was Elvis impersonator. He made a ton of cash, and he spent it all on that. And then we ended up using his sets. So we wrote the story based on using his sets and some other stuff. We shot some stuff here as well. So
Garret and Celeste are both in it, right?
Yes, Garrett's in it. Garrett is in it. Yes, I was in it. And we shot 3 days here, and we shot 3 days here, and we shot 8 days, I think. It was upstate New York.
Tim called me up and he says, "Yeah, I'm directing an independent Star Trek film. Would you like to act? Would you like to be in it?" And I said, "Absolutely not." Okay. And then he says, "You're playing a character completely opposite of Ensign Kim." I said, "Sign me up."
That's what.
But
yeah.
that being said, that was the most grueling shoot I've ever been on. The closest where I felt I was going to die, because that place that we were shooting in upstate New York, it was the middle of summer, so it was upstate New York humidity and heat. That place had no air conditioning.
Nope.
It was next to these train tracks, so we had to cut every time trains came through. And we also picked a great week to film there because it was Harley Davidson week over there, okay? So every freaking Harley motorcycle was going.
James from the East Coast was rolling by. So
Yes.
we had to start shooting at 6 or 7 o'clock at night because it was too hot to shoot in the daytime.
Yeah,
So
it
we
was
shot
so
into
bad.
until the early morning hours every day because we couldn't shoot the day. It was like being in a boiler. So,
But it was funny though, Tim, because on breaks there would be some of the Klingons and other aliens standing on the outside where we were filming by the road. So Harleys would be driving by, looking over at Klingon, going, "Whoa!" So it was a little surreal.
Thinking that they were, I wonder
they
where
were
their bikes were.
transport.
You're wondering where their motorcycles
That
were.
acid I just dropped.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got to say, these guys all showed up. They showed up on time. They showed up with their lines. They came in prepared, and they did not complain at all the entire week. I mean, it was absolutely wonderful. As Marina says, we show up and do the work, and that's it. And the time.
I don't believe they didn't complain, Tim.
No, actually they didn't. Nobody complained because we were all in the same boat. Everybody was in the same boat.
I remember we were filming in, Bronson Caves, Bronson Canyon. We were filming up there one day. Tim, you'll remember this. We were all up there and we were complaining because it was hot. We were like, "Oh, it's hot. We need water." So all the actors were just little crybabies. And then out of the blue, Ethan Phillips, who plays Neelix with full makeup, he goes, "Shut up! Shut up! All of you, shut up! None of you is wearing a mattress on top of your head." So at that point, we did shut up because it's all perspective. It really is, When you look at it from that perspective, you're like, "Oh my gosh, he's like in a boiler. He's in a green room."
He's in a green room, yeah. Even when he's on the set, he's in a green room.
He's in a greenhouse. I want to tell a story about Tim Russ real quick. So Tim,
Please do.
Tim, are you there? Okay.
I'm here.
So On the bridge, oftentimes, all the actors on the bridge are pretty much spouting exposition, right? So the captain has a through line, but everyone else on the bridge sort of just answers the captain. So all we're saying is like shields down to 30%, decks 5 through 6 are impacted, Captain. Yes, this is an
Captain, he's
M-class
hiding
planet.
something.
Yes, all this stuff that's just blah blah blah. So oftentimes I would actually write my lines down and paste it on my console, and I just read it. I know, but this was when I was so bored, right?
Oh, yeah.
Hey, you know what your reaction you just did to me? That's exactly what Tim Russ did. Tim walks over and sees my lines. He goes, ugh. He goes, you're cheating. You know, what do you think you're doing? That's not really acting. That's what do you, blah, blah, blah. What I did was I just took a black piece of electrician's tape and I used silver magic Sharpie to write the lines. And he gives me all this crap for it.
I should think so, too.
2 weeks later, Marina, I walk past his console. He's typed it up. It's typed. He actually went home and typed it, cut it out perfectly, and tapes it up there. Yeah, Timmy.
I'm shocked.
I'm not as bad as the doctor. He would put it on his tricorder stuff, and he would have it right there.
Each one of his props had
his pad. He'd have it on the pad and the tricorder. He had it over here and the cards. Oh, yeah, right.
Yes.
But wait a second, let's go back to Gods and Men, because did you forget that you invited me and Chekhov to the wedding sequence?
That's right.
The only person you forgot to invite to the wedding was Nichelle. We waited all day for Nichelle to show up because she lost an earring.
Yeah, she was invited, but they had to get her costume stuff ready. That was not ready to go yet because initially she was supposed to have things. We were supposed to have costumes made, designed and made before that, and they were not. They were not delivered, as it were. So they had to be. We had a costume designer who's actually brilliant on this show. She put everybody's costume together at the last minute. In fact, she's based out of Seattle. She actually made the costume for her that day.
Well, you were assuming that Chekhov and I went on and got married and had little Chekhovs, and we came to the wedding.
Little Chekhov.
So, Tim, where can we see of Gods and Men? How can
That is actually, I think the Star Trek of Gods and Men.com's
.com.
website is still up, and it streams all the acts stream on there. And I think it's also, if you purchase, I think it's another film that Walter Koenig had put together. If you buy that film, you get the Gods and Men DVD.
I've taken a break from Hollywood since 2005, so the only thing that I've done the last 7 years are just cameo roles for friends. They call me up and say, would you like to come and do a day on this? I did a project called Rock Jocks, which Bob Picardo has a cameo in there. So the two of us are in that, and that's basically a film about a bunch of geeks that essentially they protect Earth by shooting down the asteroids that are coming towards Earth. So rock jocks. I forgot to say that I'm now the MC, the Master of Ceremonies for FedCon. I'm the MC for Trek Expo in Tulsa, Oklahoma, also for Spock Days in Vulcan, Alberta, Canada, and I'm also the director of all Trek programming for Dragon Con in Atlanta, Georgia every year. So I'm the first sci-fi actor to go behind the scenes and work as staff, basically, because I love cons. So there you go.
Travels about 100,000 miles a year.
Traveling a lot. Yes.
Wow. And Celeste, tell us about your art of wellness and Celestial Trek.
Yes, I had forgotten to mention to you that my husband Nazim, who's from Tottenham, we're co-producing a new film that is a documentary film called Femme, Women Healing the World. Let's hear it, girls.
Yay!
Okay? Femme, Women Healing the World. And it's executive produced by Sharon Stone and some very notable women such as Marianne Williamson, Jean Houston, Barbara Marks Hubbard, myself, Carol Wells. There's quite a group of very holistic, spiritual, strong women that are represented in this film. So we're in post-production right now and trying to get it ready for Academy Award contention.
Yay.
So it's a very exciting project. And my husband and I are also the creators of The Art of Wellness. And Marina's my new agent for acting and has multiple roles lined up for me and Dorney when she's going to have me on speed dial soon because we're practically related now. Right. And yes, we have some wonderful products that we represent with an eye to being of value. It's great for us to talk about the old times and co-starring with Elvis and guest starring on Star Trek, but it's also
Starting with
You just
he was perfect. This was 1968. This was 1968 black leather.
Did he sing
Elvis.
to you?
He sang to me. He did.
man.
Sang to me.
Did you make
in
out
the
with
movie.
him?
Tyrone, take care of Elvis for a minute, okay? Did you see my husband's going? Since we kiss in the movie, I have to say yes. But one does, as an actress, require some rehearsal. Right? So the original title of our screenplay came from a book, and it was called Kiss My Firm But Pliant Lips, was the name on my Elvis script, which I still have. Live a little, love a little.
Okay.
But of course, I live a little, love a little.
Live a little, love it, yeah.
And the song that Elvis sings to me in the film is A Little Less Conversation.
Ooh.
And I, you know, yeah, a little more action.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
She's got it.
yeah.
She's got it.
I'm old, man. I remember.
First Elvis song to go platinum
It was,
Wow.
recently.
Man.
So, you know, anyway, we have the products and the art of wellness, and I've launched a new blog called Celestial Musings Blog, and we dish there. So, you know, come on by.
Denise, what about you?
Oh, you guys, wow. Okay, I'm just thinking, who have I kissed that can even match that? Yes, I shot a pilot a couple months ago, got for Showtime.
I can think of someone you kissed that can match that.
Who?
You know who?
See the telepathy.
Well, I know a few.
He doesn't sing, but he's,
Well, no, you know who?
right.
Well, let's talk about who we've
Clooney.
kissed.
Sure. I kissed
George
Chekhov.
Clooney, absolutely, but Mick Jagger.
Whoa.
That's up there.
Whoa, those are lips.
I made out with Mick Jagger. Oh, come on, Mick Jagger, come on. I didn't fall into it. His lips. No, that was very sweet. He was very respectable, and I was shaking like a leaf, and he was very, very courteous. I got to be his babe in a music
Can't you do
video.
better than
So anyway,
that?
back to the series.
Can I do better than that?
series.
Jesus Christ. Okay, so I did this, I did a pilot for Showtime. It just got picked up for 12 episodes. It's called Ray Donovan. It is starring Liev Schreiber as Ray Donovan. He plays a private investigator who is a fixer in LA, so he's kind of dealing with the underbelly and of celebrity messes in LA. And his dad is played by John Voight, who just gets out of prison after 25 years in which his son helped put him there. So they have, needless to say, a very controversial relationship. And then who else? Oh, Elliot Gould plays his mentor. And he's fantastic, and I play Elliot's longtime mistress
Great cast.
in it. And a lot of Paula Malcolmson, who is in it, plays Liev's wife, and Stephen Bauer is in it, and a lot of really, really good actors. And it's created by the woman Ann Bitterman, who created Southland, which is on the air now, which is also a really good series. Really good series.
That's great.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
So it's good. It's very good, well written, and gave us an order of 12. We don't start till November, and it goes on 2013. So keep that in mind. And please
Yay.
get my right in. Whatever they do, tweet, do all that's new.
All that
New
stuff.
stuff you kids are doing. Just put Denise Crosby.
Okay.
We love her.
Yes, definitely. And
Keep
Tim,
me in.
Tim, what about you? What are you up to?
Oh, I just finished working with Frank, actually, who invited me down for the convention this weekend. Frank Zanka just put together a demo for a pilot he wants to do called Cats, and it stars a cadre of lovely ladies who are sort of in a black co-ops, black ops sort of unit, secretive unit. Very much, very much action adventure oriented. So I shot one with him. Just finished a pilot for Disney as a regular character called Tom from the Future. and it's called Schmagreggy Saves the World. I just did it a couple of months ago. We're just waiting to see if it's going to be picked up or not. We don't know yet. And I might be directing a project at the end of September in Virginia. It's a vampire feature, independent film. I'm playing music. I just released a music CD just recently, so I'm still playing music. I've been for a while, so enjoy it.
Cool.
Enjoy it very much.
Can I just thought of 2 more things I've done.
Please,
I want to plug.
please plug.
Okay, because I'd be remiss if I didn't. There is a project that I recorded. It's a sci-fi, like old noir radio drama that's going to be available now on your mobile phones. It's called Hot House Bruiser, and it's a multi-episode radio, like an old-fashioned 40s radio drama with all these sci-fi actors in it. It's myself and let's see, Tracy Lords, Claudia Christian, John Terry from Lost, a lot of different people. But anyway, you can. It's such a cool idea. It's, the first, you can download it from iTunes. It's going to be, the first 3 are available free, and then you get to the 4th installment, and it stops halfway.
You're hooked.
So if you want to know what happens, you got to buy that episode. So that's the format.
You get them hooked, and then they have to.
Yeah,
start.
exactly.
There you go.
And I heard a bit of it last night, and it's really, really good. It's really like the old-fashioned, radio
Well,
drama. Anyway, so check it out, Hot House Bruiser.
I've got a vampire film that I have to plug too, because I played the Velvet Vampire in 1971 for Roger Corman, and my character actually had a rare blood disease, and we filmed in the desert in the daytime, and I would be all covered up in the hat, and it's wild. I was an equal opportunity vampire.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I would seduce anything.
Anybody.
This was
Okay.
Michael Blodgett was my co-star, and I just recently did the voice commentary track for it because it is the first time it's been released on DVD since 1971, and it just came out this year. And I just happen to have a few copies on my table, and you get 3 extra movies with my movie too. So it's 4 in 1, and I'm a daytime vampire.
Well, everyone go check it out. One other thing I'm going to plug.
One quick thing, and then we'll open up to questions for a few minutes.
I just narrated an amazing book called World War Z. So it's coming out. Brad Pitt is starring in the movie. It's coming out, and they expect huge, great things. And so the writer of the book, Random House, gave him the full unabridged book to put on tape. So I knew nothing about it, but zombies are it. So it's a huge, big hit. So World War Z.
Yes. Cool. Okay, we have a few minutes for questions.
But when you were there, you never got to see Bill Shatner come out of the dressing room without his toupee on.
Ooh, those pictures would be worth a lot of money.
He wears a toupee?
The only problem is without his toupee, nobody even recognized him.
I actually thought about this the other night. I thought I could pitch myself to the creator of Doctor Who as the next regenerated Doctor, but Dr. H.U. Who, like that. The Chinese British Doctor. Thank you. Doctor Who. All right.
Any other questions? Okay.
Do you find that you can meet more of your fans when they're at your table at this time?
I do, just because, when it is a smaller turnout, you get more time to talk to somebody. I mean, if I'm over at Dragon Con or any of these 50,000 fan cons, there's like 2, 3 seconds, 4, 5. Hey, yeah, okay, here, there you go. And you don't really get to know the fan or hear what they want to. And a lot of these fans, they just want to say one little story that happened to them that they've been holding in for years, and it's great to be able to hear up close and personal when there isn't as many crazy things going on. So you're right. Yeah, it's true. Good question. Thank you.
Oh, well, it depends. I mean, I do a regular gig over at the Kibitz Room every 4th Sunday. It's over on Fairfax, just north of Beverly. It's right next to Canner's. It's just a small little divey
What's it
blues
called?
bar. Kibitz Room.
Kibitz.
Kibitz
The
room?
Yeah,
Perfect name next to
K-I-B-I-T-Z.
Cantor's.
It's one B, K-I-B-I-T-Z.
that's
Kibitz Room,
kibbutz.
it is right next to Cantor's Deli.
That's a different thing.
It's on Fairfax, just north of Beverly, and I'm there
It's in
I'm
Israel.
there every fourth Sunday or so, and I play at Tax as well on Sunset from time to time. But I list all that stuff on my website. I just keep everything posted there, and I sometimes put them on
What's
Facebook.
your website? What's
but
your
I don't.
website?
The website is timrusswebpage.com. I mean, if you Google my name, it's the first thing that comes up. So I put everything on there. Sometimes I'll put it on Facebook page as well, and I'll put whatever's coming up. But we're there regularly, so it's and it's
Can I
usually
send
the
you a
fourth Sunday.
friend request?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, and I've just done it. I don't stay on it that much either. I just go to it once in a while, but I'll update it and keep everybody posted, that's all. But yeah, I'm there, so that's a regular gig. It has been for a while, actually. It all depends on, well, the thing is, first of all, Paramount doesn't own it exclusively anymore. It's CBS and Paramount, and mostly CBS, that own the franchise. So it's not about the people who can come up with a story. There's 1,000 scripts floating around. I'm sure Marina's seen a dozen. I've seen a dozen. Everybody's, there's a lot of folks that want to pitch them and do them as a series. The problem is that, first of all, they're expensive to produce. All those sci-fi shows, every one of the sci-fi shows out today shoots in Canada, number one, it's either Toronto or Vancouver, because they can't afford to shoot them here. So that they don't shoot in the States because they can't afford it. They're very expensive. And sci-fi shows have a limited, although loyal, audience. It's a limited audience. It's not across the board. More people watch Jersey Shore. If you had a Jersey Shore audience for sci-fi, you'd have one every. Well, when we came on, Voyager was we consistently placed about 80 out of 150 shows. And what it is I think also, typically. If you have a show that's like NCIS or CSI, for example, those are those are in the top 10, top 20, generally across the board for audiences nationwide. Well, if they have the advantage for our show, we do have the advantage of merchandising. No other shows merchandise like Trek does. So I know that the studios made a heck of a lot of money, more I think than the actual on the show. Yeah,
Sure.
And that's where the bread was made, I think. But the issue now is because Marina, at the time, since that show has been on, nowadays. The shows have to score super high to stay on for 10 minutes. You know that. It's 10 minutes and it's gone because they're all corporate now. All the studios, since TNJ started, studios are now owned by major corporations. Right. UPN, we started UPN Network at the time, and after that, CBS merged with them, and then somebody owned CBS. So at the end of the day, it's about the bottom line, and so that's why if they were to launch a new Trek show, they would not be able to shoot it on the lot because they don't want to spend the money to shoot it here because they're not going to make the money. They're going to be operating at a loss for 3 or 4 years until they go into syndication.
Well, and they're doing these features, these J.J. Abrams
As well, yeah, the new
features,
ones.
the reboot, and they're doing very well, and they're happy, and that's all they need. These movies are making a lot of money.
Yeah, tons of money.
Yeah, the new Star Trek films.
But what always pisses me off? This whole Nielsen ratings thing. It's not. If you really want ratings, you better put a box in everybody's house then.
Yeah.
Okay. And every laptop that's sold, everything, so that you can every DVR, so that you can have an accurate rating. Because this
Well,
whole
yeah.
10,000 households. Come on.
There's
give me a break,
there's also
you know?
and
There's
there
more
is also-
sci-fi fans out there than the.
Yeah, there's also the DVRs, and there's also the question that everybody hates those things, including the people that make the television shows and the advertisers. None of them like that system, but they have yet to come up with anything else that they can work with. That's the issue. They've talked about it many times. They said nobody likes the Nielsen stuff, the system, but that's all they have.
Yeah, I understand.
And
but
nowadays,
it's not fair.
because of the internet, because of streaming, because of cable, because of it's just it's ridiculous.
I
the
never
slices are
watch
down to
anything,
smaller. Yeah.
In its regular airtime.
No, I just
there's nothing
record
I
it.
watch,
Same
yeah.
here. I just record it and then watch it
So,
later.
I don't know
and
how
zip
that's
through them.
even
Crazy, man.
counted.
It's
Why do they
crazy.
even bother to
Absolutely crazy.
advertise?
Well, let's give these lovely people a hand for spending
you.
their afternoon with us. Thank you so much. This was a blast. Thank you.
Thanks for coming, guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead and let Tottenham reunion.